Hello and welcome to the video. So this is what we've got coming up on this episode, where we have a look at this Hornby Railways Class 37 in rail freight livery. It is number R348 in the catalogue. I've got this second hand and the box is looking pretty good so far. It has a little bit of damage here. I think this is from a price ticket or something in the past, but you can see the number 348 BR Class 37 diesel in rail freight livery. Overall, this is looking like a pretty good box for its age. I'll check up on the age of the model and I'll add it onto the video, but I can't wait to get this open and have a look. So you can see it's come with these instructions, and this is typical of Hornby instructions. It is advertising a different model, nothing to do with Class 37, and these instructions show you how to look after your model. It has various different types of model on here, not necessarily just this one, so this is a generic instruction sheet. So this was a form of early DCC that Hornby produced, and this is showing you how to run this locomotive with that setup. So the model's held quite securely in this polystyrene tray, but I can see straight away that we have a bit of a problem here, or else the bogie is moving an awful lot, because there's a lot of space between the bogie and the model. So let's see what this looks like when we get this out. So now that we've got this out of the box, you can see that this has been a very well cared for model. There's absolutely no damage at all that I can see straight away. You can see that these wobbly bogies are a bit of a problem. There's so much movement and distance in between these and the body that's quite alarming, but they are actually fixed in okay. So just looking down the side of the model, you can see that this is moulded in this grey plastic, and it's had this yellow and black printed onto it. You can see at the top here, the painting isn't that great. There's a bit of fuzziness between the yellow and the grey, and it extends down the side here just above the window. So the paint job on this model isn't that good. You can also see there's a bit of a problem between the black and yellow around these grills here as well. So already I'm seeing that this is probably a budget model. That said, they have picked out these handrails here in white, which is really nice, and the number is very clear. You can see it there, 37063. This here is a lug from the chassis, which is holding the body to the chassis, and they've put it right through the body, and you can see it here, and that really lets things down on these. It really makes them look a bit more toy-like than model-like. You can see that it has some glazing, but it's not flush fit. It is very clear though, and you can see inside the model, but there doesn't seem to be any detail or interior fittings at all. So further down the locomotive, you can see the British Railways logo here, and it's been printed on over this part here, and it's not been done very well. You can see that these grills are very well moulded, though there's a lot of relief in them, and you can see these steps as well in the moulding, and there's another grill here which is quite flat, and there isn't a lot of detail on that. Down this end you can see that it has a rail freight symbol here printed, and that's actually been done very well, but this one does suffer again from some overspill of the yellow just in the corner there, and it's got some black here as well. So again, the painting isn't that great. So the end of the locomotive, so you can see it's a split head code version of the 37, and it has the dots on the boxes here, but you can see that they're not lined up, so this one's higher than the one on the other side, and further down there's some red painted around the buffers. You can see on this one that the painting isn't very good just at the corner there, and it also has this red part down at the bottom which also isn't painted very well. So looking down below, both bogies have a lot of movement, which is really not very good at all, and you can see that this part between the bogies, which I think is the fuel tank, is a shiny dark black, and the bogies are more of a matte black, but there's definitely a discrepancy between the different types of plastic used here, which kind of spoils it even more. Underneath you can see that this bogie here is driven. It has the two outer axles are connected to the motor. The middle ones just revolve freely, even though they have this cog on here which is not operational. The other bogie also has these cogs, so the wheel set is just standard regardless of whether it's driven or not. In the middle you can see, okay, it's upside down here in the video, but you can see Hornby and it says made in Great Britain as well, so that shows the age of this model. It was obviously made before they started manufacturing in China. So let's see if we can get this model apart and have a look at the motor. So it should just prise apart. So that took some effort to get this model apart, and when we were taking it apart, the front bogie just completely fell out as well. There's nothing actually wrong with this bogie. I think it's just a really bad design. It's just got so much movement that it just falls out easily. But now we can see the mechanism here. We've got a weight in the middle which just lifts out, and the motor is on the back here. and it's just one of these standard Hornby Ringfield motors. I can get the bogie out quite easily, and you can see the mechanism here. The motor's inside here. I can actually see that it's got quite a lot of wear on it as well, so this has been a well-used model, even though the wheels are very, very clean. So around this side you can see the gear wheels, and they still revolve pretty well and operate the wheels. So let's get this on the test track and we can have a look and see how it runs. Okay, I've just put the chassis back together and we'll give it some power and see what happens. So it does run back and forward, but it needed a little coaxing to get going, and I noticed that it's quite noisy as well. I have heard this before on these motors and I think I know what it is, so I'm just going to solve that now. So we're just going to go ahead and take this motor apart. So this piece here comes off first. Just lift it up slightly off the gear wheels, and then we can take the gear wheels out. So you can see that this model still has some oil on here, so it probably doesn't need a huge amount. But normally the problem is just here on this gear wheel, it just rubs on the back of the motor and causes the noise, or else it could actually just be at the front spindle, just underneath this resistor here. So I'm just going to apply some oil to those parts. This is some oil I got actually from a Tamiya remote control car kit. It is coming really handy for model railway repairs as well, so I'm going to use this just now. Okay, let's apply some power and see if that's helped. So I think that's done the trick, which is great. Okay, so we're going to reassemble the gearbox onto this now. So you start off with the smaller wheels and fit them down in here. And then the larger ones. The smaller gear is on the inside and meshes with the one you just put in and the center cog. And finally we've got this part which holds everything together. This just slots underneath here. Okay, it's always tricky getting that part back on, but I've managed to get it on now. I'm just going to apply a little bit of oil here, and that should be us ready to test it again. So we've got everything back together and we've got it back on the test track, so let's give it a go. So that's great, the noise has gone and it also seems to run pretty well now, so that's a good success. So let's get the body back on. It should just slide on and clip into place. So that was quite easy to get this apart, give it a service and put it back together, and I'm quite confident now that this will run fine on the layout. So let's see how much this weighs. So this model weighs 289 grams. So what's my overall impression of this model, and should you consider buying it? I think this model is starting to show its age. I actually think it might have been a Lima moulding before Hornby took it over. I'm not 100% sure. If you do know, please put it in the comments below. I'd be very interested to know. And as such, this model is really starting to not stack up against its modern rivals. It has some nice features though. The front end of this locomotive is quite detailed and looks quite characterful, and the colour is really great and it's very vibrant and interesting. Mechanically, this isn't the best model, and there is an awful lot of movement in the bogies which really detracts from this model. However, that all said, you'll probably be able to pick this up quite cheaply second hand because it is such an old model and it is very budget. So therefore it's ideally suited to somebody just starting out with model railways, or perhaps somebody younger who wants to try their hand at owning their own locomotive and servicing it and making it run nicely. So in that respect it's worth getting, but as a display model I don't think it is. I hope you found that useful. I'll put this on the turntable so you can see all the way around, and in the meantime, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps this channel grow, and you can subscribe to enjoy more videos like this. But that's it for today. See ya!